Hi, I'm here with Doug Owens, Associate Professor of Music at USM.
Yes.
Welcome, Doug.
Thank you.
We have a really interesting topic to talk about, and something that's come out of a personal experience of your own. And the subject is hearing loss in the music field. Tell us your story.
Well, I am a former school music educator. I taught high school and middle school bands in Wisconsin for 14 years. I'm also a trumpet player, and during that time, towards the end of teaching high school, it became very apparent to me that I was losing some hearing. Literally one day, while teaching, my left ear completely shut down.
Wow.
I lost that hearing for quite some time. It was at least a week and a half, 2 weeks, where it was either not functioning normally, painful, heavy ringing in my ears, etc. I went to my normal ear, nose, and throat doctor.
Yeah.
They said that I work in a loud environment, and that I should stop working in a loud environment.
It must have been really difficult for you.
Very difficult, and it's when you're working in an area in which you have a great passion, just to give it up after all those years is not an easy thing. So. What ended up happening was, I went to an audiologist, had my hearing tested, and the interesting thing is that noise-induced hearing loss appears on an audiogram at certain frequencies. It can generally be seen between 4,000 and 6,000 hertz.
Wow.
And if your normal hearing is at a certain level, you'll see a dip on the chart if you've been exposed to noise.
Wow, so it really stands out.
It stands out on the hearing chart. I mean, there are other reasons, old age,
Sure.
Any other kind of disease, but specifically in this range, it can be narrowed down to noise. So I have that in both ears, and as a result, I had to change my habits.
Sure.
I had to change my habits. My hearing generally came back. I still show a loss in my left ear specifically, a little bit less in my right. I've been able to maintain that without any further loss.
Yeah.
But
you kind of took your situation, I'm sure after some time to get used to that, but you kind of took your situation and took it in a really neat path. You found a new way to kind of stay involved in music and kind of make people aware of your situation. Tell us what you've done.
Right. I at the time, being a little bit afraid
Sure.
of what the future could bring, my thought was I would go back to college and complete a doctorate degree.
Right.
In a research area, certainly music education, but researching noise-induced hearing loss and that prevalence in music situations, music rehearsals, music performances, college, high school, middle school, etc. There were a few studies that had been out over the years, but there had been changes in equipment, measurement devices, things like that I thought deserved another look.
Sure, and what did you find? You found some interesting facts.
Found some interesting facts. The earliest study I did was just of the environment where I was in college in northern Colorado. Partially to get to know how to use the equipment.
Yeah.
We started measuring ensembles. We saw that bands, orchestras, even choirs had these peaks of loudness, some more sustained than others. I mean, there were definitely events that were loud within the ensembles. We also saw that relationship between the acoustics of the room.
Yeah.
Those rooms with less absorbent surfaces, a lot of reflective surfaces tended to be louder.
Yep.
Reverberation times were longer, and generally allowing that sound to just kind of regenerate itself. So the loud aspects were there. So we thought, okay, let's keep looking. As part of my dissertation, I did measurements at 10 different high schools with 10 different teachers. Put the measuring device, a dosimeter, on a microphone on their shoulder. They wore it on their bodies, no larger than a remote control. Wore that for 2 days each, and found that many of those folks are overexposed as well, depending on the ensemble.
All the variables too.
Right, lots of variables. And we talked about acoustics, room size, how many people are in the room.
Sure.
We had one teacher that had a band of 100 kids, 100 students, had a great room, large room, 2,000 square feet, high ceiling, probably 22, 23 feet, but the room was not large enough to hold 100
That many people.
Right. He built his band program, got lots of students involved, did what he was supposed to do, and yet there came a point in which the room needed to be changed or the schedule needed to be changed to adapt.
Wow.
And music teachers are exposed multiple times during the day, so they aren't just teaching one
Wait,
class.
this is all day.
They're teaching 3, 4, maybe 5 classes a day.
Yeah, this is a lot of exposure,
Right.
and for the kids themselves.
And on the aspect of the kids, you've got places where some sections might be closer to louder instruments. You might be sitting near the snare drums. You might be sitting in front of the trumpets or the trombones.
Sure.
There are different levels of exposure.
So we need to wrap up for now,
Sure.
but what would you like to leave people with? Because it really sounds like you've found some significant evidence that
Absolutely.
it all depends on where you are in a lot of different variables, but overall, people are overdoing it.
There is that possibility that people are overdoing it, and I guess my point would be making sure that that you're aware that for instance with the personal listening device, MP3 device, volume at 100% or even 90% can cause some damage.
Sure.
It doesn't matter what type of music it is, it can cause damage. Exposure in our music setting, we just have to be aware of where we are. If you're sitting next to a cymbal, for instance, chances are that cymbal is going to get played.
Yeah.
It's going to be loud, and at that point, it may not be a factor of how long you're exposed to it, because just one cymbal crash can cause some damage.
Sure.
I would like people to be aware and to be to step back and think, wow, I'm going to a concert tonight. What can I do to make sure it's not so loud and not leave the concert with that ringing in my ears, which is the warning sign.
Yeah, it's a bad sign.
It is a warning sign, and sometimes that hearing comes back, and sometimes it doesn't, and sometimes you're left with the ringing.
Yeah,
which
don't take advantage. Don't take advantage.
No.
Well, Doug, it's a great story, and I wish you a lot of luck with your research. And if you're interested in learning more, Doug Owens is an associate professor at USM for music. You can find him there and get involved. And I hope you get this message out to as many young people and faculty and music teachers as possible, and people in general. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, back to you, Tom.